Hello everybody and welcome to a live meeting from the Zel team on the 23rd of March 2019. Today we've got a few things to run through, including a community update, talking about Zel and ZelCore's updated roadmaps. We're going to have some ZELmate and ZECmate updates, translation updates, ZelNode updates, development of Zel nodes, and upcoming ZelCore development. And we have an update from our marketing team leader, James Smith, also known as Goose, and also a talk about social media development from Daniel Keller, and then talking about ZelCore Premium and the release notes.
Can you guys still hear me?
Now you do.
Okay. So today we have on the call, this is our leadership team. So we have Miles Manley, our Chief Executive Officer, myself, Strategy Officer Parker. Was unable to make it this morning, Tadeáš, Lumi, Ibishi, who is our Chief Design Officer, James Smith, Marketing Director, Mario Price, our Marketing Developer, and we also have members of the ZelCore community team. As Miles started to talk a little bit about our agenda, here's what we kind of have going on. We have the Zel community update. We have the Zel and ZelCore updated roadmaps. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This is going to be a long meeting. It's not going to be one of these 10-minute and done ones. There's a lot of information to disseminate and a lot of stuff to share. We're talking about ZELmate, ZECmate, the translation update, ZelNode updates. So fairly lengthy update on our Zel nodes and the next phase for ZelNode development. And also phase 2 benchmarking, because I know there's a lot of people interested in hearing about that. So we'll be covering quite a bit on that today. We're going to talk about the upcoming ZelCore development, our marketing and social development plans with Goose and Coach. And we'll also talk about, save the best for last, our ZelCore Premium release notes. So just to start off with on the Zel Foundation, we just want to remind everybody to take their time and visit and read the Medium update about how we are going to be handling our transparency report and our funding for the next year. We are going to be moving to a fiscal year. So from an accounting standpoint, this is the majority of the way of businesses run. They run on a fiscal year, and we want to run on a fiscal year as well. So we also decided at the time when can you guys mute your devices, please? I don't know who it is there. Just please mute your device. Okay.
I got it.
Okay. So we're talking about moving year 2 funds up to cover the rest of the expansion, because we basically have destroyed our roadmap. So, which is great. The project has moved quite faster than what we anticipated, but we want to make sure that, especially with crypto winter and the things going on, that we have the funding for the next iteration, next phase. So read more about that at the forum Zel Foundation. You can also, if you'd like to talk about that, you can also check out the latest Medium post, because it talks about the transparency report there. So this is the moment you guys have all been waiting for. So we are releasing today the updated timeline. It will be updated sometime next week on the website. So we've had a lot of people ask a lot of questions about what's going to happen now that we're up to the point where nodes have been released. So this is kind of the way it's going to look. We have Project Paradigm, which is the premium launch. That will be in Q2. So we're winding down to Q2, and we're going to talk about that later in the presentation. But we've been nose down, digging to get these things completed. Project Swan, which has not been released or talked about yet, that'll probably be in Q2 as well. It is an augmentive piece, in other words, a companion piece to Zel Premium, and I think you'll all be very pleased with it. I can't really tell you many details about it. Project Unity, which Miles is working on himself. So Miles, do you want to give just a real quick?
Yeah, I can give a quick overview. Project Unity, it's yeah, me and Lumi are heading it up, and a couple of community developers, and it's just basically working on something that's actually not thought about a lot until you start to use one, and you use a bad one, which is the Explorers. So we're going to be updating and unifying all the Explorers, adding extra tools for wallet management itself, so lightweight wallet management inside of the Explorers, and just unifying them across the board to give them a sort of ZelCore look and feel. So it's not something super exciting development-wise, but it's definitely something the user experiences a lot of time with and uses. So we thought we're going to take the time to get probably the best Explorers we possibly can. So yeah.
Great. Miles is in airport too, by the way, guys, so he's not being attacked.
Sorry.
So, yes, so we talked about Unity. So phase 3 of Project Paradigm. So everybody knows that we kind of mapped out exactly where Paradigm was going and some of the features that would be included in Paradigm. We broke that into about 3 different phases. So phase 1 is going to launch pretty much any day now. Phase 2 and then phase 3, they'll go in those particular in succession and have additional features as it goes on. We want to finish the formation of the Zel Foundation and appoint the board members. So the foundation's been compiled, it's been completed, it's ready to go. What we're trying to do is in Q3 bring together the foundational members who will be on the board for the foundation, as well as the core team, and as well as basically having a meetup as well. So we're targeting to do that phase 1 in Q3 of this year as well. So more of a formality to do the handoff, to get the board established. The legal aspect of it is complete, but we just need to finish up the handoff. The next thing on the roadmap is the Zel Node Project Jetpack. We'll talk about more in a few slides about what Jetpack is and what Jetpack's going to do. It's going to be pretty awesome, and it's going to make use of our Zel nodes. And right in hand with that is Zel Nodes Phase 2 release. So we have already started development of the next benchmarking phase and development in the nodes, and we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. And then we're also talking ZelX. So as we go through these different iterative processes, we are looking at what it's going to look like for ZelX in the future, and then we'll eventually in Q4 on the node structure be able to look at how we're going to launch ZelX. Miles, you want to handle translation updates, or would you want me to?
As long as nobody runs through here with a suitcase, sure. So the translations initiative has been going for the last month and a half now, as we're working on internationalizing. I have to mute myself in a second. Internationalizing ZelCore, both mobile and desktop. So far, you can see the languages on screen.
That's English, Russian, Dutch, Espanol, and French. And then we're looking at more.
That's Deutsch. It's German.
Deutsch, yes, that. Okay. And then we're going to work on adding additional ones in the near future. So the goal is to continue to work to get ZelCore translated in as many languages as humanly possible, and also Zel as a project as a whole. So if you know somebody that wants to work and do translation and would like to participate with the project, we do offer grants specifically for translation. It's not a ton, but it's definitely a big thing for the community. So please reach out to Miles or Parker and help with the project. So I will tell you this: we're about the only multi-asset wallet that has this level of translation. So that's pretty impressive, because a lot of the big players aren't even close to that. So that's a good work on that.
And another thing is we're also working, like you mentioned, the rest of the projects, so ZELmate and ZECmate as well, and websites, etc. But right now, the big focus for us is getting desktop, which does have those languages available, and then mobile, which will have them in the next release. So
Okay.
yeah, if you know anyone that speaks Arabic or Korean that wants to help out, those are the 2 languages we're struggling to find someone to help with. Please do reach out.
Cool. The next update we have is the Zel community pool update. So we have a lot of miners that are mining in the community pool. It has been 0% for quite a while. And by the way, our I don't know if anybody's taken a look at our network hash, but it's excellent. We've really done a good job. We actually had a guy do a video last night on Zelcash. And that was one of the first things he said. He was actually setting up his rigs to mine, and he said, "Wow, the hash distribution is great on this project." So we've accomplished what we wanted to do, and that is making sure that we have good equal hash distribution across our pools. But now what we want to do is we're going to mildly increase those fees to assist the foundation and also with Zel development. So you're going to see about a 0.5% increase over the next few days, just to start to bring something into the foundation, because the foundation basically has augmented, along with Pickaxe and Goose, who has helped out tremendously to get this up and running for us and have it be very effective. So we want to try to get to a point where it's self-contained and it runs itself. And with that being said, Parker worked very diligently on creating a mining resource page, which if you haven't checked it out, it's zel.cash/mining, and has a nice little beginner's guide. It also put the different coin trackers in there as well, talks a little bit about the proof of work algorithm and so on and so forth. So check it out if you haven't had a chance. So we got some ZELmate and ZECmate updates. Our developers, Volter, has been working real hard on creating, new updates on ZELmate. I don't know if you use ZELmate or if you're using ZELmate for Zel node management. It is fantastic. It really is, and it also the ZECmate that's been done for Zcash is great as well. So Zel node management was added to it as well. The rewards for shielding macros. So it's got 2-click shielding. And it's got a massive performance and speed improvements. I don't know if you've used it, but it's quick as could be.
It was a huge bump when Volta managed to get that through. Customizable UI has been a great push as well. Here's a little fun thing. If you guys do use ZELmate, ZECmate, if you want to submit your UI configurations, please do. And we'll potentially add them, as well as copy-paste functionality, something very basic but has been missing in Swing for years. And many other updates that you can check out on GitHub. And as Daniel mentioned, any update to ZelMate is being ported over to ZECmate as well, and we're maintaining that. And it was the first multi-operating system, at least for desktop, sapling-supported wallet when we did release it. And we're also working, I don't know if it's mentioned there, on encryption as well. So that is something that's in the works. It's something that is not necessary, and it's not exactly expected in a lot of crypto wallets, but in today's day and age, it definitely is needed.
Yeah, so for all you open source guys who love the open source, there you go. You got a really good asset there, so that you can work with. And big props to Volter and that whole team who have really stepped up to bring that to us. So on the next slide.
Yeah, someone just asked a question about a one-click miner. I think we do have one, but it's not official from us. Have a dig around, Indie Miner, and there's some other one as well.
Yeah. The Zel team is hiring. Yes, we are. In Crypto Winter, we are growing. So we are looking for full-time, part-time, by project, hobbyist, professional, JavaScript, C++, web dev, Bash, Python, PHP, Ruby, and I have no idea what any of that stuff is, but it sounds really important. There is a project for everything and anyone. If you're in this live stream, if you're viewing this live stream later and you're a programmer, we have a spot for you. We have a need to fill those voids. So please reach out to Miles, me, Parker, Goose, anyone.
Tadeáš,
Trunk, Lumi, you name it, and we'll get back to you. For us to continue to keep developing at the rapid pace that we have, we need to have new talent as well. So the guys that we have are great, and we want to continue to keep growing it if they're the right fit for the project. So the one thing I want to bring up real quick is the Zel community project. I had a couple people ask about that, where we were. The community project is still the water project. We haven't really, because we've been so wrapped up with Zel node development and other things, we haven't promoted it. But I want us to start getting back on that track, especially as we start to go into a bull market. Make sure you guys share the wealth and share it forward. We've raised $528, and I'm going to say close to the same thing in Bitcoin, because this project actually accepts crypto, which is very cool. The only problem is you can't track the crypto in the bar there. It's only the cash donations. So shout out to Bad English T, and Xerax, I think he threw like $100 into it too. I think we all matched each other and put $100 in. So
I remember that day. Akira
Yeah.
X came in and he threw 100. Bad English T threw 100. I threw 100.
I did.
You did as well.
You did, yeah. So, and then
I will throw 100.
Yay! So look, we got a commitment already. So guys, take the time. I mean, this is an amazing project. They're very crypto friendly. They are doing great things, and I think it aligns well with kind of what we want to do as a project as well. So give back to those in need. So the moment you guys have been waiting for, we're going to talk about Zel nodes. So we got a lot to go over in a short time frame here. So I'm gonna. It's almost like drinking from a fire hose. You're gonna get a lot of information quick. So you can go back and rewatch this. And of course, after this meeting's over, there'll be a Q&A where we'll answer some of your questions. So a little bit about the current network situation. So impressive is all get out. I had expectations, and this absolutely blew them completely and totally out of the water. The current Zel node lockup is 32% of circulating supply. That is absolutely insane for a project like this. It's locked up. We have the total lockup, the foundation, nodes, and core of 47% of circulation. That's insane. Now, I mean, I've talked to people on other projects, and they just can't believe the level of dedication we've got going, of and locking up and making sure that the economic models continue to grow in the future. We've got 111 BAMPs, 183 supers, 243 basics. We do have about 15, I think it's down to 10 now, of updated nodes that need to be updated. I will tell you this, you guys got to update your nodes, because at some point you're going to be forced to do so. And when you're forced to do so, you'll stop getting payments. So, you guys got VPS bills or bare bones and electric or whatever.
I don't think they're already not getting payouts. So
Okay.
if you haven't updated, you're not getting a payout. Yeah, you do have to update. So
Okay.
do keep an eye on GitHub. Discord is the best place to find out the latest information, and Twitter as well.
Nodes that haven't been updated are just like operating systems that don't take updates. They are no good to us. They are unstable and they will not work. So guys, just if you're investing your time, your resources, your capital into running a Zel node, make sure that you take the time and update them. And you can also view all these statistics and information on our amazing dashboard, ground control to Major Tom dashboard here. I actually blow this thing up on my big screen TV and just sit there and stare at it because it's way cool, and brag about it to my friends. It's a great party conversation piece at a party too. So big props to Miles, who you can name the team that's done the dashboard.
Sure, it is Jane Navas. Sorry if I butchered that. And Turbojeet, who have been working on the dashboard, and there's some really exciting updates they're working on as well for other dashboards. So, yeah, shout out to the dashboard team. You can talk to them in Discord, etc., and give suggestions as well. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear them. So,
I thought we were done developing the dashboard, and they hit me with like just a knowledge dump the other day of just, we have got so much cool stuff coming up. I can't even begin to tell you.
That is true. They communicate very well, and there's a lot. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, there'll be some updates to proof of work as well, so that you can see the proof of work as well as the node structure as well. Also utilization across the network. And as we continue to ramp up into phase 2 of the nodes and we start to go live on the nodes, and actually start to really use them and develop that computational power, they're going to have a resource model so that we can watch it. So, and that's important. And why is that important? It's important for development, because anyone that knows an infrastructure, you have to be able to have quantitative information about where you're using your data and what you're using that data for. So developer-wise, that's going to be a big component moving forward. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So what is Project Jetpack? So Project Jetpack is the operational development of the node structure. So we've heard people express concerns specifically around what are the nodes going to be used for. So in technology development, you have to have consistent and you have to have available computational resources. And that's what separates Zel nodes from other node infrastructures, is they can be randomized, they can be broken, they can go up and down, and they're not reliable. You can't run Amazon on any node structures. You can run Amazon on Zel nodes. You can run Uber on Zel nodes. And we are going to work to develop those components, and we are going to work to create those decentralized applications that utilize that. But to do that, we have to have stable computational power. So those that make the comment specifically around it being too much to run a Zel node, they're comparing that to other node projects where they're not really doing any computational power. And as a matter of fact, they're probably just validating transactions. Well, our proof of work side of the house does a really good job at that. So we don't really have to worry about the validation of transactions. What we do need to worry about is securing the network, developing the network, and building it out. So Project Jetpack will identify our SDK development pack. Will also give us access to the computational power on the Zel node network. Couple of things that we're looking at is development of decentralized virtual private servers. Yes, lots of buzzwords there, but essentially what we're looking at doing is creating a decentralized virtual private server on that network, because we do have a decentralized model that would allow developers to develop in a private area, a private part of the network that isn't dependent on one particular infrastructure. So why is that important? It's important because it decentralizes across the board. And it doesn't rely on one VPS provider. If I'm a developer right now and I go to DigitalOcean, I'm developing on DigitalOcean's infrastructure, and I'm dependent on their infrastructure. If something happens to their infrastructure, I'm dependent on whatever resources they've created to back up and maintain that infrastructure. Zel nodes doesn't require that. If DigitalOcean goes down, we have other nodes to pick it up. So if all the Zel nodes go down, we've got a big problem, because something happened and we're all not here anyway. So it won't matter to any of us. So there's a lot of valuable components to having those virtualized private servers. Also access for new developers to multiple programming language. So our goal in that SDK development pack is to make this as programming friendly as possible. So we want to look at JavaScript. We want to look at Solidity. We want to look at programming language.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd speak to that. Initially, we're going to look at kind of going with the Solidity idea, but not doing it the same way, having a little bit more of a verbose JavaScript framework, keeping it as vanilla as possible. So yeah, and then we'll look to expand to other languages.
Yeah. And so one of the other things is for this to happen, for us to engage programmers and to sway them over, we have to the foundation has to understand that we have to grant development funds for first mover developers. So those are individuals that want to come into the space, they want to develop on the node infrastructure with Project Jetpack, and we will grant those individuals grants of Zel to continue to keep them developing out. Part of that is for the first DApp development on the structure, we're going to call this Project Keystone. So it's actually laying the very first DApp development. We will award 100,000 Zel to the first person to create, and it has to be something of value. So tic-tac-toe on the Zel nodes just isn't going to cut it. So what I suggest is, if you're a programmer and you'd like to have first access to that SDK development pack or Project Jetpack, and you would like to try to get that award of 100,000, that's a BAMF. Then reach out to us and we will put your name on the list. And then you have to develop a small grant for the foundation and just tell us what you're doing. So most people that have that level of prowess already kind of have an idea what they want to develop. And as long as it benefits the ecosystem, we'll give you the go. And the goal is to have 3 or 4 really good developers vying to get that BAMF, to get that 100,000 Zel. And I will tell you, I've already had very high level developers reach out to me and say, what are we going to do? Something like this. So this is, if you're listening, guys, this is for you. So, and the foundation also will provide what we call sprint leaders or grants. So we're very agile, a very agile environment in Zel. We very agile oriented. So if you are a sprint leader and you come in and you want to create a team, we'll provide quick grants so that you can assemble team members and you can create dApps on this platform. We're committed 100% to getting these nodes clicking the way that we want and developing them the way that we want. So the community and your support, even in those downtimes, is absolutely imperative for the long-term health of this project. So those that would tell you that the criteria is too high, or mining at a loss stinks, you are securing something much greater, and you are delaying your return on investment till we get to this point. So we're there. We need the development. We need you guys' support.
Yeah, just to kind of second on what Daniel said, support has been brilliant over the last year and a bit now, and we just continue developing, we continue building, expanding as a team as well. So before we continue, we do get to the community Q&A, I'd just like to say, or at least the live stream, that we're really, really appreciative of all your support over the last year and a quarter now.
Yeah, absolutely, Miles. So the educational development pieces of it, we're going to work on Zel node network utilization best benchmarks. That has begun now. So we've already started to put together what phase 2 is going to look like and how we continue to keep developing out not only the anti-cheat aspects of it, but how do we develop out the groundwork structure so that we can really start to just plop in different components into that node infrastructure. So we're already doing that now. That's already on our roadmap. The economic model will be reviewed for long-term planning. So essentially, the economic model is very solid at this particular point in time. I know a lot of people would like to see the price of Zel higher, and I believe that that'll happen. When we put together the white paper, we based it around $1 per Zel. So you're in very, very early, which is great, because if you could have mined Ethereum at 20 cents, well, that's good. You'd be pretty wealthy right now. So get in early and help support the network and let it grow. We're going to fine tune the use case, what we call the gas model, and how those dApps will then not necessarily burn Zel, but utilize Zel, and where that Zel will actually go. So we think that the gas model will look something along the lines of continuing to fund the foundation and get those things ready. The forum development and the dev sprint teams, we're going to continue to keep developing the forum. I think that's going to be the place where we want to go to learn about nodes. And we're going to talk about partnership development with high volume data usage providers. Now, we'll kind of break this down in context. Partnership development with high volume data usage providers. You can use your imagination and you can think of different entities that would absolutely need a decentralized, very large network to run particularly private networks. So think about those things. There's lots of big players in the space that could utilize that. And we're also going to work on developing the Zel Uni around the dApp development. So developers, if you're interested and you're listening to this and you're seeing this and you're in a project that wants to work with us, reach out to us. That's a little bit about Zel nodes. So we're going to hand this off to Miles. We'll talk a little bit about ZelCore, the updates and upcoming milestones. All right, we might allow Miles.
So, just a team of people running by with suitcases.
All right, I'll just cover this one. We'd like to announce that we had our first community listing vote. So welcome to Bitcoin 0x community. They were on fire. They received over 53% of the votes, and we had over 350,000 engagement with these guys over the course of this vote. It was really awesome. We're going to have a round 2. We had about 17,250 impressions just off the initial one post, and that doesn't include any of the other engagements. So very impressive. Welcome to them. You'll see them added here within the next few weeks, and their community will be able to utilize ZelCore for maintaining their coin. Talk a little bit about upcoming updates and planning for ZelCore. So a couple of things Miles and the gang are really working on is an updated, cleaner UI for performance improvements. These are little things. These are the things that matter. These are the smooth things, the transitions and things like that. We're also going to work on a new translation push, which we talked about earlier in the slides. We're going to add an addition of new account leaders for business development. So what does that look like? We actually have people in the project who are business leaders out in the real world, right? Not in our echo chambered crypto space, but they're actually, what they're going to try to do is begin to approach different leaders within business and talk about how we can develop on the Zel infrastructure and continue to keep growing this. Addition of more assets. People ask, well, when are you adding this, or when are you adding this, or what are you adding this? I can tell you this: over the course of the next 2 weeks, you're going to see a lot of assets added to this. It's going to go fairly quickly.
Yeah, I can speak a little to that now that there's no one running by. We do have a list of community suggestions that I can ring off. Also, your kind of favorite exchanges. We're also looking at matching a lot of what they have on, but I know things like Grin and well, let me think here. Grin, I'm trying to get the list up. Rito, we've got some of the other Beam, some of the bigger community projects, Vertcoin, Pigeon Coin, and a few others like that, and then a whole host of ERC20 tokens, Omni tokens, and some of the other token platforms are actually going to be added as well. And we're just going to huge dumps from those as well, Waves, for example. So yeah, the plan is to get most of the top 100 or more of the established historical assets added within Q3, starting Q2, Q3, as well as all the other developments going on. So yeah.
And yes, Ripple is on the list, and everybody knows my love for that project. So yeah, it's I'm really excited about it, as you can tell. Anyway, integration of ZelCore Premium, and which we'll talk a little bit about here in at the end of the slides. And then one big one at the end is we're going to work on an open source core platform. What does that look like? We're not going to get into this because we have a lot more to cover. But the ultimate goal is to eventually get to where our core platform, a section of
more developer friendly and
yeah,
community friendly as well. So community members that, let's say, working on translations can contribute easily. People can list, let's say, some of the tokens when it's standardized. Obviously, assets takes a lot more work, transaction construction, etc. But at least for standardized asset platforms like ERC20s on Ethereum, and like the Waves platform, Omni tokens in some regards, Raven's asset layer, for example, stuff like that. Someone's being annoying.
Yeah, so I mean, there's going to be questions. So does that mean that you're going to open source Zel? And I can tell you right now, that's not going to be the case.
No, we're not fully open sourcing ZelCore at all. But
we will. We are going to provide the avenue to where we continue to engage developers, and we continue to open source particular items that make sense.
Exactly. So you've seen the ZelCore repo. There's nothing in it right now, but over the next week or so, that's going to start filling up with some of the magic that makes things work behind the scenes in ZelCore. And then we're also working towards, I know that question is going to come up, a security audit. We've been talking about it for a while. It does come down to having some of the resources to conduct a thorough security audit from a third party that is reputable. So we're hoping to get premium out and then focus on that over the summer, just because premium is such a huge addition. There's a lot of code going into it. So yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks, Miles. The next thing we want to bring up is we have a new partnership with CoinPlan for Zel investment development. CoinPlan guys are awesome, and if you guys haven't had a chance to check them out, I highly suggest it. It's coinplan.io. And what these guys do is create a marketplace for cryptocurrency portfolios and enabling digital asset owners to curate portfolios of cryptocurrencies in one click. Honestly, it's sick. You go out and you can select, let's say, privacy, and you want to get a basket of privacy coins. It actually curates those together and brings them back, and you can then store them in your ZelCore wallet. We're going to work on more integration in the future, but we partnered with these guys because it made sense with ZelCore and their Zel Plan, bringing the portfolio purchasing power directly into your wallet. Boom, done. ZelCore users were able to select and purchase pre-crafted portfolios from a marketplace of offering directly into their wallets. So this isn't for people that mine and speculate. This isn't a big deal. This is what we do. We go out and find different projects that we like. We invest in those projects. We do the research, the due diligence, and we make sure that they're ones. But for the average investor who wants to come into the space, this is huge because they can participate in a market that's been pre-researched, have had analysis and due diligence done to it, and they can invest in projects that aren't crap coins, and we know this, okay? If you have any ideas for their portfolio or you'd like to see any available assets and particular plans, please reach out to info@coinplan.com. Check it out. You guys won't be disappointed, and we'll have lots of new information coming from them in the future. So I'm going to hand this off to Goose and Coach if you guys want to talk over the marketing and development updates.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to let Coach go ahead and lead with this because we've got some. Well, actually, I'll lead a little bit with this, and then Coach is going to talk to us about Twitter and our engagements over there because he's been doing a phenomenal job. And I do want to first say thank you to all of the people who have contributed images and artwork and ideas and everything that kind of gives ZelCore and Zel a face, as it were, like, that we're just getting the word out there. And a lot of work has been done. I mean, a tremendous amount of work has been done since I've signed on. So it's been great to see everybody come together and submit ideas and make things that look beautiful and really paint Zel in the greatest light, so we're trying to do that in so many different ways, not just, video that I can bring, but also the visuals that are being posted on Twitter and whatnot. So I just wanted to first start with our marketing plan, which is in our white paper version 2. You can get that right from the main Zelcash website. And on there is a section here for social media and public relations. And that's really kind of where I was focusing when I first signed on, because I wanted to pick up where we left off. But I also wanted to say, whether I was there or not, this had already been moving in a very positive direction. Coach here has been doing a phenomenal job with making sure that all of these type of engagements are taking place. And one of the first things that we saw was obviously the social media avenues, the Reddits, the Medium posts. Parker has done a tremendous job with his Medium posts. So again, hats off to everybody who has been contributing one way or another. And then when we start looking at, so that's item number 3 here. Number 4, creation and publication of press releases, articles. That's going to go alongside with the Medium posts. We also had, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but I know, Daniel, that you were absolutely thrilled with this Medium post. But somebody had contributed an incredibly in-depth Medium article about the project. Maybe later on we can go ahead and link that down in the description, but I think it was a very well done, very thorough. Crypto Penguin, yes. So, hey, if you're watching, thank you so much. That was a great contribution to the community. And that's part of it, the fact that the community is contributing in such a way that they want to see the success of the project, and everybody's working together in a way that is organic, not like somebody is barking orders or anything like that. I mean, we are very receptive, very open. I did want to mention when we were talking about ZelMate, how with Walter, how that really was actual community development. You go look in the history of those channels on Discord, and people were just firing off suggestions. Can you do this? Can you speed it up? I know I even asked him, can you add some copy paste features? And it was like a day later, he goes, hey Goose, by the way, right click this bar, now you have copy and paste. I was like, yes. So it's great to see that happening. And the marketing phase of it is really our taking that, which happens behind the scenes, and making it visible to everyone else. As far as the engaging users through social media, that's really item number 5 here. That's been Coach, that's been Daniel and Parker, all of those who are putting that information out there. So whatever we can kind of create in terms of information, images, ads, things like that, that kind of catch your eye, or announcements. The big one is really announcements. We've got a whole series of supported wallet announcements. And that's something that we've been doing on purpose to get people to retweet. We find that if we can get the word out there for a specific asset that somebody's using in ZelCore, then they're going to go ahead and retweet that to the rest of their friends in their area of Twitter, and hopefully get additional engagements that way. Because if it's, hey, I carry Gollum, all right, so I'll put that out there as a little supported asset image, and then people can go ahead and repost that. So that's something that's actually been already running for the last week or so, and I think it's already starting to see some fruit, which is really good. As far as our content calendar goes, we are going to be coordinating our calendar with the current roadmap. So that's going to be changing. But the nice thing is, now that we have that roadmap and we have some targeted dates, we're going to be able to prepare things a lot more efficiently and ahead of the game, so that we're ready for the announcements. And it's going to be allowing us to be a little bit more efficient with our time, so that we can develop even more time towards being more creative, producing even better content. So that's really going to be helpful. That's item number 6. Number 7 here, the marketing plan and strategy is, now that does say Zel Team, if you notice. So clearly you can see already some things have evolved since then. So which is a great sign. And as we move forward with this, we're going to be putting that together, updating that strategy, as it were, with the current roadmap, and making sure that everything comes out in an orderly way. As for the website audits, this is something that I know that Miles and Lumi can speak to, probably even more so than I am, because I know those guys are focusing very heavily on making sure that the website ecosystem, as it were, is as it needs to be to provide the best amount of information for each project.
Yes, there's been a focus. Lumi's been very, very busy, and so have I the last few weeks. But I know that through Q2, there's a push to update, modernize, and make the main website more intuitive. Domain swaps moving to .com, stuff like that, and then unifying things a little bit better. There's the top bar at the moment, but we can make things a little more obvious and make sure the design is unified across the board. So.
Yep. And we've got zeltechnologies.com, which is really the main hub for everything, so that if somebody wants to see everything Zel, you just go right there. And you can link to whether it's the blockchain side of things, the ZelCore side of things, the ZelNode side of things. So it's great. And I think here, as we're looking at social media marketing, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Coach, who can talk to us a little bit more about what's happening in that department.
Yeah, just real quick, I'll bust through this slide and then talk a little bit more about some other things on the next slide here. But just right now, just maintaining the current social media channels. And, we do have quite a few. Everybody kind of has their own taste of where they like to hang out and get information. And, in my opinion, the number one place is crypto Twitter. And that's where I spend a lot of my time at. Discord, obviously, that's where we're always at. That's where we're answering questions, giving general support, having general conversations. YouTube, Goose is going to hit on that here shortly. Reddit, we're always going to have our updates there. Just important information disseminated out between myself or Parker. And then the medium, which Goose alluded to earlier, Parker does an amazing job of just making sure that you get a big snippet of information every time something new comes out, every time we have an update. And obviously the medium pops straight into Delta Direct. And we also have opportunity with Blockfolio Signal to get information out. So we're hitting you from all different directions, just making sure that you can stay up to date with all of our progress. And then, one of the big things that, when I first hopped on the Zel team here, we talked about was organic growth. We're not going to buy followers. We're not going to pay for retweets. We're not going to buy YouTube subscribers. We're not going to do that. We're just going to organically grow and let the message of Zel just spread naturally. And, that the community is involved in that. Obviously, retweets always helps when you see information. We're not forcing you to do that, but we definitely would appreciate a retweet if you ever find something that gets you excited that we post on either the main Zel Twitter account or the ZelCore Twitter account. And then got a couple things coming down the pipe here with some different incentives and giveaways. I know Goose has been talking about a graphics card. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm gonna see if I can slide in on that as well. And then with the YouTube series, which I know Goose is going to allude to here in a little bit, but we're on the YouTube series, as you've already seen, since Goose has kind of joined the team, have a ton of updates and just trying to put a lot more information there in addition to our live meetings. And then me and Goose have been talking about podcasting here, and hopefully getting that rolling pretty shortly. And then obviously any news that comes across, we definitely want to make sure we can get that out on YouTube as well. So real quick, I'll hop into Twitter and talk about that before I hand it back to Goose. So Twitter, like I said earlier, it's one of the best ways and free ways to market a project, the crypto Twitter world. And we've once again focused on organic growth. We do that by posting daily. And my responsibility is kind of schedule 2 to 3 posts a day that, focus on the project development, ZelCore highlights, any updates, just little facts that you might not know, highlighting the project, and just helpful links, etc. So we just try to put something out like that. And then as the community and people that might be interested in kind of joining the Zel community engage with that or ask for support, Daniel and Parker do a tremendous job of being there for day-to-day support via Twitter. And so the next thing is the Zel cash utilization, the Zel cash tag, utilization. That's something that I try to accompany on every post. And I would encourage you, as you're talking about Zel or ZelCore or anything like that, to go ahead and accompany that cash tag, because what happens is that's how a lot of people search a different project is by simply typing in that cash tag in the Twitter search function, and it brings up any and everything about that project. So definitely would encourage you to use that. And, if you're ever curious, I would encourage you to engage with that cash tag as well. And then lastly, you kind of see here at the bottom, we got some numbers, and we'll have a little bit more on the next screen there. But, our impressions and engagement, we're really ecstatic about. This is a snippet, I think, between mid-February to about mid-March here, right before we kind of put the slide together. And just the amount of impressions that we're getting, the amount of people that are going to see ZelCore, Zel Twitter accounts going across their pages or scrolling through Twitter, 325,000. That's up 21%, and that's due largely to people sharing the content. We obviously have a ton of profile visits, and that's steadily increasing. The mentions, we definitely want more and more people talking about ZelCore, and then the followers. Obviously with the launch of Zel Nodes, that's part of the reason, but also that organic growth of just continuously posting, continuously spreading the message, continuously letting people see the beautiful UI that we have and all that good stuff about ZelCore.
Yeah, I want to mention too, Coach, real quickly that these analytics are only for ZelCore. These do not include the Zel cache. So the Zel cache look a little bit similar to this. So it's been across the board between the two accounts. So we'll go on to the next slide. Yeah.
So this next slide kind of just reiterates everything that I was just talking about, and that Daniel just added on there. You're seeing the growth. We're seeing that organic growth continues to happen, and we're just looking for the community, as you see stuff that, like I said, that intrigues you, please hit the retweet button. If you're talking about Zel, make sure you use the hashtag. Make sure to tag us to help those mentions rise and just help people continue to see the project. All right, you got a Goose?
Yeah, and about this slide, you can see that, overall increase in followers and follow-to-follower ratio. It's going up because people are retweeting. It's going up because those retweets are reaching additional people who are themselves getting excited about it. One thing I do want to say about people who follow us on Twitter, they're not all on Discord, and sometimes in Discord, we have kind of the same people who are interacting with one another. It's very rare that you tend to see somebody new coming, but this is another platform that shows you substantial growth just in the last 30 days. So just good to note that each platform has its certain community, which is just showing you that there's many facets to this, right? It's kind of like that little image of the blocks. There's different sides to each block, and Twitter is one of those sides. So we're very happy with this, and we're going to continue to put content out there so that it may be retweeted, and hopefully this number will continue to grow in that organic way.
For sure. So, and this goes back. Miles, you're breaking up there, bud. So this just goes back to what Goose was talking about earlier, the Zel official Zel Technologies official website. So if you haven't checked it out, it's a great one-stop shop for anything that's Zel. You can learn about Zel, ZelCore, Zel ID, ZelX, D2FA. It kind of brings everything together in one spot. Check it out. It's a sexy website, that's for sure. Guess you want to go over the YouTube the redesign for the YouTube?
Yeah, and this is something that I took a closer look at, worked together with Miles on. We decided to move the channel to Zel Technologies because that's really what we are, and it's like I said, that website is the hub for everything. So the YouTube channel is going to tap into that. This way, we can provide information for any facet, any avenue of the Zel ecosystem. So whether that be the blockchain side of things, the nodes, setup guides, or anything else, right? These meetings, we're also going to be looking at a crypto podcast. Coach had mentioned that earlier. So he himself is a podcaster. I have experience doing that with my other channel. So we'll be working together to make something like that happen here on the Zel YouTube channel. Now, before we moved it over to the new channel, it had a lot of sort of randomly chosen icons or thumbnails and titles and whatnot. So I went through and sort of gave everything a little spit and polish to make sure that it had sort of a uniform look. Now, sometimes that uniform look can be a little cringeworthy, but we just wanted to put something there right now to give it a nice sort of polish and professionalism. And then going forward, we're going to be creating newer and more eye-catching thumbnails and whatnot. But this is just to kind of clean up what was already there and give it a nice presentation for anybody new coming to the project, having to visit our YouTube page. And as Coach had mentioned earlier, there's been a rash of videos that I had just posted, all of the update stuff, the ZelNode stuff. I redid a ZelNode video using the latest script and whatnot. So that's there now. So if anybody is interested in setting up a ZelNode, you can go there. That's probably going to be one of your best resources next to Discord for support and whatnot, because you'll have actual video guided step-by-step processes to go through anything that you may want to do with ZelCore. More is happening there too, by the way. It's going to be additional update videos. Obviously, as ZelCore gets its facelift and has additional features added, those will be accompanied by a video that will say, okay, here's what the new additions are, here's how they work, here's what you might be able to use them for and whatnot. So that's pretty much the facelift of the Zel Technologies YouTube channel. We can go to the next slide. And I just wanted to show a little bit of, now, like I said earlier about Twitter engagements, here are the YouTube engagements. And this is just within the first month or so of this channel. Now, the information you see here was transferred over from the original ZelCache YouTube channel. Okay, so you can see some ups and downs there. But at the very end, as of the middle of this month, we had a nice uptick because of all the videos that I had posted on there. So people were looking at it, and the same thing goes here. You know, the more these videos get likes or thumbs ups, the more they get subscribed to, or the more they get retweeted or reposted or shared, the better it's going to be for everybody in the project, because obviously these numbers are just going to keep growing. So we're in the first 30-day period right now. Once that 30 days is up, we will be able to create our own URL on YouTube. Right now it has sort of an odd hash to it, which is standard for all YouTube channels that are just created. So in the case of this one, we'll come up with a nice title for that to make it easy to access the YouTube channel as well. But so far, initial engagement has been good, and we're continuing to post content there regularly, like I said, as updates come and as we get on board with the crypto podcast with Coach. So looking forward to doing that. Go next.
Yeah, and just a big shout out to the whole marketing team. They've been fabulous. I mean, you know, Goose, if you can just name them off real quick, who's really the big players. You know, we got All Systems Go, Goose, yep. Coach, Brent.
I'd say
Brent is Parker, Lumi.
Lumi's
Parker,
done some content, yeah. But yeah,
everybody.
One that I guess I should mention is David, All Systems Go. He's really helped with some of the graphics that are used in Twitter posts. They're really eye-catching and engaging. So big thanks to him.
Yeah,
yeah, and
phenomenal.
Cool story.
And I'll say, when it comes to David, he. I said, hey man, what are you using to you know, to produce these images? And he's like, oh, I just have this laptop from my parents that they weren't using, and I put like Ubuntu on it, and he's using GIMP. So I'm like, you are doing some amazing stuff with you know, a bare bones system. So it just goes to show you the raw talent of this person. You know, his artistic ability is really top notch. So we're really happy to have somebody like him.
Anyone can contribute to the community. So think about that. I mean, there's a guy that he's doing what he can do, and he's doing it at a very high level. So good work on that.
And his full-time job is a carpenter. So all facets, all talents, everyone's got something.
Yeah.
So if you think you guys have something useful to contribute, please don't shy away from doing so.
So we kind of saved this for last. So this is we're officially announcing today that we have our first round of testers on ZelCore Premium. So we'll talk about Plus a little bit here. And one of the, and this is great, this kind of speaks it all, fintech defined. We've created an ecosystem that we want to be completely inclusive of crypto, and we've in the past had some really successful partnerships with CoinSwitch, Changely, Kyber, and Shapeshift. But one of the things we wanted to do with Zel Premium is to make sure that we addressed the exchange aspect of it. So you will, right now we have Binance, Kraken, and Bittrex that have been ported into Zel Premium, and they work. And not only that, they work great. And here's a little layout of the UI. And kind of how it looks in there. So really, we're very close to the point where we're going to be able to release this out and start. I think we actually, Miles, if I'm correctly, we actually got our first subscriber to Zel Premium through the test. Somebody actually went in and they paid for it. They got it. They're using it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, because it's that whoever you were that did that in the test group, you guys were the first ones to do it. So I wanted to be the first one, but they beat me to it. So. Yeah. So what does the premium look like? Just for those to kind of remind them, I think the big one is we've added Binance, Kraken, and Bittrex into the UI so that you can use your Binance, Kraken, and Bittrex centralized exchange accounts directly in ZelCore. Another reason why we don't want you leaving the ecosystem. We want to make sure you stay there. So you're going to invest there and put your crypto there. So it's going to be your bank.
Something I'd say is you being your own bank, really, right? And
yeah.
one big piece, and it's a little bit of a cringy saying, but it's ZelCore is for anyone that wants to do anything with crypto and other fintech instruments in the future. So we're building it out to be, a platform more than a wallet. Get it to the point where a wallet doesn't really describe it anymore. And I think we're getting there, especially with premium. We will be there. It means mining applications. It means portfolio trackers. It means curated crypto portfolios like what we have with the Coin Plan guys. It means all your exchanges in one place. It means a beautiful UI. It means dApps in the future, chat applications, games. So that's ZelCore. It's a bright future, I'd say.
Yep. And just a couple of the things that we are going to announce in this is that it does give you full API control. So you will be able to control your Bittrex, Kraken, and Binance accounts directly out of ZelCore. We also have added, and it will be available in that release, a swap feature. So you can actually do a quick swap from one crypto to another. It's set for release. It's like I said, it's in the hands of the testers right now, so it's ready. One of the cool things is you can pay in crypto. So obviously we're a crypto project. You get a significant discount for paying in Zel. So if you're a Zel holder, get ready to spend your Zel. Maybe you don't want to, and do what I do, and you can use Bitcoin or something like that.
Yeah, we'll be accepting Bitcoin, Zcash, Zel, Litecoin, and then we'll be able to add, if there's big demand for any of the other UTXO based coins like Raven, etc. The other addition, I'm not sure if you got onto it, Dan, was paying with fiat as well. So we're going to work on like a Stripe implementation to do so. But first and foremost, we are a crypto project. Why do you want to use fiat? I'm not sure who still uses it. I'm kidding. But yeah, the backend's being created by Tadeáš. And one thing we kind of skipped over was the great work Michael has done on the exchange piece. So.
Yeah, Michael is a developer that's been working directly with Trunk, and big shout out to Trunk and Michael and what they've done here. This has never been done before, to my knowledge. I'm not really sure there's a multi-asset platform that has centralized exchanges right in them, and I mean this is pretty powerful, guys. This is good stuff. So
it's interesting, Dan. You said centralized exchanges. Why would you make a differentiation? Does that mean there's going to be decentralized ones in the future? What?
There could be, Miles. There could be. So keep a tight eye. We'll keep a tight eye on that in the future as well.
One thing I'll mention is the UI work as well. We know there is a couple exchange aggregators, but as Daniel mentioned, there's a multi-asset platform that allows you to securely own and control and store your own crypto assets without it being kept in a Coinbase type situation. So yeah, I'd just say awesome work from the dev team, Trunk, Tadeáš, Michael, Lumi, and a few of the others. And also thanks to the testers. We have been thoroughly testing the last week and a half now. We've got it's been a great hard push the last few weeks, and I'm looking forward to Q2 being the same.
Yeah, and they're the kind of the unsung heroes too, because UI wise, they've really made things nice. They've given us pointers that will make it, when it gets to your hands, will make it a little bit more seamless and user friendly. So big shout out to all those guys. And in closing, for the community, Miles, and I'll hand it off to you for closing. I just want to thank everybody for their continued support. I want to thank each one of the miners. I want to thank each one of the node owners. I want to thank each one of the community members. You guys are why we're here. It wouldn't be fun and it wouldn't be rewarding if you guys weren't involved in the process. We have an amazing community. We have an amazing team, the core, all the marketing guys, all the people that have really come to this project. You guys are fantastic. So, thank you. And we'll keep working hard for you guys too.
Yeah, I'll just sort of echo what you said. I didn't mention it halfway through, but it's been awesome to have all the support we have and also the team we have over the last year and a quarter now. I'm really looking forward to the next few quarters as we continue to push through and grow the team. And I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff we can do with Zel nodes and some of the other things that I mentioned in the white paper. I'm looking forward to updating that hopefully soon when I get a bit more free time to write one out, to just curate everything in one place with the guys. So it's a very long live stream actually. We're going to now pass off to the usual Q&A where you guys can ask your questions in person to the team and just have a general chit chat. So thank you to Goose, Coach, and Daniel for being on today with me. And yeah, another good live stream, guys, I'd say. Thank you, everybody, and look forward to seeing you around the place, Discord, Twitter, wherever. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.